Hey friends, welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge University lecture lesson number 27. Today we're talking about dyeing G10 and micarta. I even dye a little bit of Kydex in this one. I'm just going to go to the points of what I do. I'm going to show you how I get a knife that looks like this. This is a real steel knife with their sort of tan, sandy colored G10 and make it look something like this. This is the Luna. It started out with the exact same G10. Now, yeah, that was far away. Come on to the tabletop. Let's take a good close look. Well, we won't be at the tabletop first off. First off, I'm going to start off just showing you the steps that I take, and then at the end, I'll show you the results that we get. Stick around. Step one is take your knives apart. Keep it organized. Keep everything separate. I like to use boxes if I'm doing a fair bit. You know, keep every individual knife parts in its own box. You don't want to lose your stuff. Now, for slip joint knives, some of these slip joint knives, I hate taking them apart because I really hate putting them back together. So I'm going to try these without taking them apart at all. I'll let you know how it goes. This will be my first time trying that. But yeah, take no apart, stay organized. Wash your hands, especially if you're like me. I've got very oily skin, and oil on your handle scales is your enemy. Wash your hands, and if your hands get oily quickly, put on a pair of gloves. You may not be able to do this step. If you've got an ultrasonic cleaner, you put your pieces in there. Now, I've got them the outside edge facing down because I want the outside edge to be clean, right? So turn that on for 15 minutes. It's time to wash them. I got some warm water, not super hot, but I've got the handle scales in here. Yeah, the lighting in this room is not the greatest. I use dish soap because dish soap is better at getting oil loose. Yeah, that's not really done. That's palmolive in there, but hey, reuse containers, right? And I wash them and I scrub them. Why do I want to get the oil off there? Well, the oil is what you get blotchy results due to. Any oil on the handle scales, that's going to lead to blotchiness. Now, if you're using micarta, yeah, that can be all kinds of reasons why you get blotchiness. But still, I want to get rid of all the oil so that it's at least not my fault that there's blotchiness. Now, for the slip joint knives, this one, you can't take the pocket clip off unless you take the handle scale off. Oh, that's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to submerge the whole thing until the step of dyeing it. You submerge the whole thing, you're just a little bit more likely to get corrosion. So I'm going to have to dye this, one of the first things. I've already got the water upstairs getting to a boil. I'm just going to brush it as well as I can with the toothbrush there, get it as clean as I can get it. And then I'm going to dye this sucker. After you've washed them, you got to rinse them. So turn the hot water on and rinse those suckers off. You want your water at a roll, not a super violent boil, just a nice roll. You're going to try to keep it at that temperature. Then you're going to add your dye. Now, this is by far the best dye to use. RIT Dye Synthetic is the stuff to use. Now, a number of guys use, the standard RIT dye. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you don't mind inconsistency, save yourself a buck or two on the cheaper stuff. If you want consistent results, get the synthetic. It's your only option. Now, different colors are going to do different things to different color, G10 or micarta. There's no science to it, except for, if you remember art school, you didn't go to art school. Art class in school, the color wheel, you combine colors, it changes things. Yeah, look it up, what combined colors do, and it's going to sort of approximate what's going to happen. So I got to pour some of this in there. I always shake it up. I've got about a little over half a gallon in there, about 2.5 liters of water in there. I'm going to use about a third of this bottle to pour in there. So let's put in about a third of this. Seal it up, put it over here where it's not going to dye anything. Stir it up. It doesn't take a lot of stirring, just stir it up. Now, I put these on wires so I can hang them off. So basically, you just stick them in there and bend this wire over. And I'm going to put the lid back on. And I got to turn it back up a tiny bit. At least 10 minutes, a very minimum of 10 minutes, usually 15 minutes for most items. If it's not dark enough for you, go longer. Less time, less dark. It's been 10 minutes. Let's take a looky-loo. Which one's this? Ooh, that's a pretty blue. Remember, that was a tan color. And yeah, I want that to be a little darker than that yet. Let's check this guy out. That was orange, so yeah, she's now purple. Purple, but yeah, not quite dark enough. How about the micarta? Ooh, that's looking blue, blue, blue. I think that micarta is good enough. So, over here, oh yeah, it says Chapman's. That's the kind of ice cream we have here in Canada. Cold water. Well, it doesn't have to be super cold. Cool water. Let's see if I can move the camera over there a little bit. And I'm just rinsing it in the cool water. And I'm just going to put them down here on this paper towel, shop towel, to dry. And I can reuse this wire on some of the other ones. Of course, I'll show you what that looks like once it's dry. But right now, yeah, the lighting here isn't that great. But I'll take this down to my studio and show you what it looks like when it's dry. And this guy, oh, that's a beautiful blue color. I like that. That's really nice. Let's keep going. I've got a Kydex sheath. I've never done Kydex before. This is from the Silax video, so if you want to see what the real color is originally, go look at my Silax review. I will put that guy in there. Make sure he's down at the bottom. There we go. And here's the Silax handle scales. We'll put those in there as well. Here's the Silax. It's a nice light blue, and that's what I want. So I'm putting that over in the cooling water right there, and there it is. There's the Kydex. Now, I don't know how permanent this Kydex is going to stay blue. Probably permanently. It did get bent a little bit because of the heat. I might have to re-straighten it out. That's the risk you take with Kydex. Yeah, it's bent a little bit there. But I can use a heat gun to straighten it out. So, because I don't want to move my whole setup downstairs, here's what I did. There's that little knife. I took the one handle scale off, and I've wiggled the blade just a slight ways off the edge. I don't want to get it off this back spring. And then I used my heat gun, you can use a hairdryer, to dry this out. Get all the water out of there. Once it's all the way dry, I'll reassemble it. I forgot to show you a step, one other step. After I've got them dyed and they're dried, I let them sit for 24 hours and then I wash them with some soapy water. Using a toothbrush, scrub them down, because there's a little bit of dye on the surface that will come off, and you don't want that coming off on your hands and stuff. So, or in your pocket, you know, maybe you got expensive pants, I don't know. Wash them afterwards, let them dry again. So here's the first batch. Here's, the real steel sand colored G10, and that's what it looks like. This is the Sapphire Blue by RIT. Remember, synthetic. And that just looks great. Maybe in hindsight, I would have taken it out a little bit earlier so it's a little bit lighter. I don't know, maybe not. I think the camera's picking up a pretty good representation of the color. It's very nice indeed. Also, these real steel slip joints, they are not that hard to put back together. I should have taken this thing completely apart, especially since we've got D2 steel here, a nice carbon steel, but I didn't. It's easy enough to put these back together if you've got just a little bit of technique. Unlike, something like this. This would have been next to impossible to put back together. I did it once. I took it apart for the video, and it took me a long time to get it back together. This I dyed in the sapphire blue for a long time, and then I also, the orange just was not absorbing the dye very well. It did it a little bit. Then I dyed it also in the royal purple as well. You know, it's pretty blotchy. You can see that. I've got lots of oil here. I just flooded the inside here with oil, and so the oil has seeped all the way through the G10. Yeah, so in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done this knife. You know, if you've got a slip joint that's really hard to take apart or put back together, taking apart's usually easy. Maybe you don't want to do that knife. You maybe don't want to dye it, you know, but there you go. The rest of these are all that same sapphire blue. This is a Tucson, a dark brown micarta, like a burlap kind of sack micarta. It had some black spots on it, which is the main reason why I wanted to dye it, or a big part of it. And it looks great. There's still the black spots, of course. The very coarse burlap micarta, the texture is even coarser now because, you know, it filled up with liquid. And then when it dried, you know, it's standing proud. You could sand that back down if you wanted to. But I like the extra grip. You know, this knife doesn't have any guard in case you're piercing. So the extra grip, I think, is a really good thing. Beautiful color, even after it started off with a, you know, pretty poopy looking color brown. This Maguiron was something like this color, very close to this color, browny, gray, sandy color. And, you know, it wasn't absorbing the dye super well, but it's still a beautiful color. It's a very nice blue color. I like it a lot. And nice even color. Just looks great. This is a damn design. And it didn't come out quite as nice. I've got a little blotch right there. Of course, I show my failures as well. I think I didn't clean it well enough. I think I didn't scrub it out well enough. I think that was my failure. It's a little bit blotchy. You know, I might just dye this again, make it even darker. Who knows? We'll see. But the main color there looks really good. You can sort of see what that sapphire blue looks like. Now, I didn't show you my dyeing of any of the other colors. Well, the only other color I did on this session was the royal purple. And I think you're going to be surprised. This is that royal purple. It looks black, doesn't it? It looks like it's black. But to the naked eye, you can see that it's not black. It's, you know, that's black. That's a super dark purple. I think it looks really nice. Now, again, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have left it in that long. Because, you know, this is, you know, the same dye, and you've got a lighter color. They're both Civivis. They're both that natural G10. This one I took out after 10 minutes. This I took out after 15 minutes. And you can see the difference. And yeah, it looks nice. I'm very happy with it. This G10 once had been rubbed across right there. There's a little bit of a line that you can see right there. You can see that line right there. And that's just from, you know, something in my pocket pressed against it somehow. And it changes it. It's just what happens. But I love this color. This is really, really nice. Let me show you the Kydex. First off, here's the knife. Doesn't that look good? I think that just looks great. Again, this was a very similar color to this. And you can watch the video about it. That's just beautiful. I'm very, very happy with that outcome. And here's the Kydex. Isn't that nice? Now, the Kydex shape changed completely, you know, because it's heat activated, it gets soft, and so I had to repress it. You know, this was all the definition was gone. This was just one round kind of tube. And in fact, this came loose that rivet came loose and came out. So yeah, you're risking damaging it like crazy. If you don't know how to work with Kydex, don't do it. And I do have an arbor press, a rivet kind of press thing, but the end piece is broken right now, so I'm going to have to buy some new rivets, and I'm going to re-dye this because I rubbed the dye off on the edge right there. But yeah, and I'll reshape it and make it look nice again, but that's kind of cool. Who's got blue Kydex? I do. Now the colors don't match. The material's different, so even in the same dye, even if it starts off with a similar color, it's not going to always look exactly the same. So who knows? I might just, get a custom Kydex sheath made in black. I think I might do that. Or I might just dye this again and even darker, and then, fix it. It's a little bit bent and stuff. I need to, do some adjustments to it. But I was going to show you what we got. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks to my supporters. I appreciate the help an awful lot. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.